Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. October 19, 2023. It's week 7 of the NFL season, and we've got an interconference battle on our hands down at the Superdome in New Orleans between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints under the lights in front of a national audience on Thursday Night Football. This is a big game for both of these teams. As for the Jaguars, they've won 3 straight, and really want to keep their winning streak to get off to their best start since 2007, since the Houston Texans are breathing right down their neck in the AFC South, in a sentence that I honestly did not think I'd be saying at the start of the season. Man, I'm impressed by them. For the Saints, though, the NFC South is incredibly tight, with the Buccaneers, the Falcons, and the Saints all in first place having 3 wins apiece. Any sort of separation would be absolutely critical, especially for a Saints team that, after a 2-0 start, has dropped 3 of their last 4, including a heartbreaker to the Houston Texans the previous week, where they just gave it to them. Now look, I could dissect this game for 3 hours and talk about how we got to this point, but in the interest of my heart rate, I'm just going to fast forward to this point in the game, when the Jaguars are up 31-24. Despite their best efforts to throw this game away with some awful play calling in the second half, some special teams miscues in the first half that give to the Saints points out of thin air, and everything else under the sun. The Saints have driven the length of the field following the Jaguars' touchdown with 3 minutes left to take the lead. And now, the Saints have the ball at the 6-yard line. 3rd down, and Derek Carr hits a wide-open Foster Moreau for the possible game-tying touchdown. Oh my god, he dropped it! Oh my god, he dropped it! I want you to understand this. The Jaguars never get these kind of breaks. Never. Not once. Usually, the Jags are the ones dropping touchdown passes in the end zone. The 2007 divisional round game against the New England Patriots, where Dennis Northcutt dropped a touchdown pass that would have tied the game. Week 2 against the Arizona Cardinals in 2009, where the Jags were trying to pull off one of the craziest comebacks of all time, and Nate Hughes, on back-to-back plays, dropped touchdown passes right in his hands. The second week of this season against the Chiefs, where the Jaguars had 4 touchdowns called off the board because their receivers couldn't keep their feet in bounds. Week 12 of the 2011 season against the Houston Texans, when tight end Mercedes Lewis had a wide-open touchdown pass right in his hands that would have given the Jags the lead, only for him to drop the ball. I could go on and on. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I don't remember a single play before this one where a player dropped a touchdown pass against us. It's happened to us many times, but to have it work out in our favor? This is like the Washington Generals beating the Harlem Globetrotters. But hey, we're getting ahead of ourselves. There was still another play to be had. It's 4th down, and look, even despite the drop, I still like the Saints' chances a ton. Our defense is absolutely gassed. The past quarter has been abysmal from that standpoint. As long as the Saints don't do something stupid here and super low percentage, like, I don't know, throw a goal line fade, since those never work, I really think they're going to score on this play right here.
4th and goal on 4th down. Again to the end zone, all kinds of contact there. Pass is ruled incomplete.
Did they just do that? Did they seriously just do that? Oh my god, did they seriously just do that? Did they seriously just call that play? Did they really just call that play?
Doesn't give Olave any room, a little wiggle, tries to get around him, and never has a chance.
I mean, I'll take it, but welcome to dumb decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the minds of New Orleans Saints head coach Dennis Allen. And I know exactly what you're going to say. Wait a second, time out. Wasn't it offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael who called this play in the first place? Yes, don't worry, he's shouldering a ton of blame here too. Both Allen and Carmichael made some mistakes. But Allen deserves some serious criticism during this sequence, not just because of the play call itself, but because of the absolute dysfunction that's happening right now with everything else on that play and with the Saints coaching staff. And you'll see what I mean. So with that being said, let's take a look at why calling a goal line fade on what is in essence the final play of the game is a really bad idea. It's actually kind of amazing here, because the Saints could have done literally anything else in this spot, and even if it didn't work out, it wouldn't be second guessed. If they just called any other pass and it fell incomplete, that's one thing. Even though we can seriously criticize the Saints all we want for having 4 plays from the 6-yard line and not calling one run or calling one Taysom Hill keeper, despite the fact that Hill was torching the Jaguars all day, and it seemed as though the Jags hadn't watched a day of film on how to stop the man. But they called a goal line fade to the left side of the field. Let me repeat, with the game on the line, the play that gave them the best chance to win was, in their eyes, a goal line fade to the left side of the field. First off, that is the lowest percentage play in the book as it is. There's data from right around where Carr threw the football about the percentage that you can expect certain passing plays to the end zone to work. If you call a flat route, 57% of the time, it's going to result in a touchdown. If you call a slant route, about 42% of the time, you're going to score a touchdown. And if you call an out route, it's somewhere in the ballpark of 42.5%. Want to know what the percentage of goal line fades to successfully work is? Want to know how often this play works? A whopping 13.5% of the time. Seriously, every other play gives you about a 1 in 2 chance of getting it right based on the data. And you call the play that gives you about a 1 in 8 chance. And it's not even like this is a surprising statistic. We have eyes. We see time and time again the goal line fade absolutely failing. This is the equivalent of drawing up a play in basketball when you need a 3-pointer to tie it that gets the guy open for a half-court shot. Like if you call the play to try and get a corner 3 or a middle 3 right around the line, that's one thing. But a half-court heave? That's seriously what this was like. You picked the lowest percentage play out there with the game on the line. And it's not just that you called it. It's that you called it when Derek Carr was playing like garbage all day and was getting shut down on the left side the entire time. This was Derek Carr's passing chart on the day. We're taking a look at every throw to the left side of the field that was more than 5 yards, seeing as this was from 6 yards out. On this day, prior to the fade, down that sideline, he was a whopping 1 for 6. He completed 1 pass the entire day down that sideline, and that was a heck of a catch by Michael Thomas. The entire time Carr tried throwing down that sideline, the ball was hitting the ground, and the clock operator was getting arthritis at the rate he was having to stop the clock. So not only do you call a goal line fade, which is already a super low percentage play as it is, but you call a goal line fade to the side of the field where Carr absolutely could not throw all day. You called a play that works 13.5% of the time to a side of the field that has worked 17% of the time thus far. Absolutely genius. Seriously, thank you for being so stupid. And somehow, it gets even worse, because according to the next-gen stats in the passing charts, prior to that play, since week 3, on throws more than 5 yards down the field to the left sideline, Carr is a mere 2 for 17. Yes, you heard that right. 2 for 17. Down the left sideline on plays more than 5 yards downfield since week 3 prior to that fade on 4th down, he is completing 11% of his passes with a passer rating of 34.6. which is worse than he did nothing but spike the ball to the ground on every single play. So yeah, he's really bad on that side of the field. And if that wasn't bad enough, the only way you can probably win a goal line fade, seeing as it's tough to create that space and get that separation, is to win on a jump ball. If you can't win on a jump ball, the only way you can win on that route is if the receiver has enough real estate and can get to the back corner of the end zone in time. So let's check out who the wide receiver was on this play. This man right here, Chris Olave. How tall is he? He's 6 feet tall. Alright, that's not necessarily the best height for a receiver, but maybe the cornerback he's lined up against is shorter than he is, so he's got that height advantage. The cornerback on this play is Buster Brown, and he is 6 feet tall. Alright, we're off to a great start. A low percentage play on a low percentage side of the field with a wide receiver who has no height advantage whatsoever on his cornerback. But height isn't everything. Look, I'm the same height as Tyler Lockett, and yet, in a situation like that, he's torching me, because his vertical is significantly better than mine. So let's look at Olave's vertical and see how good it's only 32 inches, as in the 12th percentile of receivers that came out in 2022. A 32-inch vertical. And just for fun, let's compare that to the vertical of Buster Brown. And oh my god, Brown's got a higher vertical. So let me get this straight. If I'm adding this all up, you call the jump ball play with the receiver who has no height advantage over his cornerback, who can't really jump, and who jumps lower than the cornerback he's going up against, all while doing this to the side of the field that Carr can't throw to, and on a play that rarely, if ever, works. Which raises the obvious question. If you're going to do this, and you're so dead set on having this play called, why not use Jimmy Graham? Remember him? Remember Jimmy Graham? Remember your 6'7" tight end that you brought back because you were thin at the position, and you said you were going to use him? Remember the guy that is one of the greatest jump ball getters in NFL history, and is one of the only guys where calling a play like this would make sense, a la Calvin Johnson? It's almost like in baseball if there's a situation where you should absolutely, never, not at all, try and attempt to steal a base. But Ricky Henderson is on first. So if you're going to do it, he's one of the few that can make it work. Why wasn't Graham on the field? And folks, you're not going to believe what Dennis Allen had to say about this. Because this, along with the fact that he didn't call a timeout before the play, just to make sure everyone was set, since the timeout meant absolutely nothing, seeing as you used one already, so if you didn't get the 4th down conversion, the game was over, is why Allen deserves just as much blame, if not more, than Carmichael for his stupidity. Allen said that it's a staff decision, then followed that up by saying that they're always going to be asked when something doesn't work why they didn't use someone, only to follow that part up by saying it's a valid question. But my head hurts from trying to follow the logic here, I'm not gonna lie. First off, this shows how woefully unfit and unqualified you are to be a head coach. This shows just how little you learned from your time in Oakland in that disastrous stint. This shows why certain people do not deserve second chances. It's a staff decision? So who's the man in charge of that call? It's gotta be someone. Unless you're holding a vote and the majority wins, which you can't possibly be doing in that quick of a time frame, someone's gotta be the one to call the shots. Why Jimmy Graham wasn't out there but Keith freaking Kirkwood was, I don't know. It was the same problem with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. He delegated everything. Everything was someone else's responsibility. How can a decision like this be a staff decision? Then, you're going to criticize the media for asking that very valid question, only to turn around and say that it was a valid question? No, Dennis, this wasn't hindsight bias. We all saw that this was going to fail from the start.
Yeah, you guys tried to go to that fade a couple times in the red zone. What is it about that play?
Yeah, look, I think there's times where that can be, a good play, and obviously we didn't execute it, and certainly if we had, we'd be feeling differently, but we didn't get it done.
You had a 6'7" tight end at your disposal whose greatest strength is goal line fades and jump balls. And you don't put him on the field so you can put your wide receiver who doesn't win in those spots and is going up against a cornerback that has every advantage in the book. As a Jags fan, I'm going to tell you straight up, if that was Jimmy Graham on that play, we're losing. No doubt in my mind, we are losing that ball game. That ball is getting caught, they're going for two, and Taysom Hill is punching it in to make it a 32-31 ball game. We don't have anyone in that jump ball spot that could cover Graham. You made our lives a bajillion times easier. So let me make sure I have this right, because I'm still trying to process how the heck we won that game. You could have called anything, literally anything on that final play of the game. Never mind the fact that you just forgot that Taysom Hill was a machine this game, and you forgot that he existed down by the goal line. You instead call the lowest possible percentage passing play. You call it to the lowest percentage side of the field, and a side that Carr not been able to throw to all game. You then decide to use your 6-foot receiver who can't really jump that well and had no physical advantage whatsoever over the cornerback that he was going up against. And he had a 6'7" tight end who's great in those spots, and you just decided not to use him. I mean, I'll take it. I don't know how we won that game, but I'll take it. Man, 5-2 feels good, but holy cow, Dennis Allen. Holy cow, Carmichael. Yeah, it's not looking good in New Orleans. I'll just put it that way. So what do we learn from all this? Goal line fades are stupid. Goal line fades to receivers who cannot run goal line fades are stupid. Goal line fades to receivers who have no physical advantage whatsoever against the cornerback they're lined up against are stupid. Goal line fades to a side of the field that the quarterback cannot throw to and has had trouble throwing to all game are stupid. Everything about the way Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen run this team is stupid. This entire game was stupid. Al Michaels is stupid. I need to go lay down. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.